All right, we are discussing Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and by now we have covered. And 19th we have roughly covered, although not so clearly. And 18th we have covered. So moving to next sutra, and let us get deeper in that. The next is Bhav Pratyaya. Bhav Pratyayo Videha Prakriti Layana. Last time I talked about it from the perspective of aspirations for the seekers, from the perspective of the person who is still engaged in some pragyat samadhi. Correct? Na? But which two, some pragyat samadhi, are going to lead to these two states, which is Videha and Prakriti Layana. Now, Bhava Pratyay, I discussed from the perspective of a yogi, of a sadhaka, of the seeker, that if he is engaged in and has not attained the highest vairagya, which is called paravairagya, then his desires will pull him back in the sampragyat samadhi. He would never, rather, he would never qualify to raise his consciousness to the level of asampragyat samadhi, which is the highest samadhi. In fact, vairagya is that state which automatically leads to samadhi. Abhyasa is for such people whose mind is not trained. Otherwise, vairagya itself will push your consciousness into that state which is called samadhi. Which type of samadhi? Depending on how much vairagya you have created. If you have created paravairagya, which is highest vairagya, that means you are now beyond the Prakriti, the three gunas. That means you are not insisting on goodness as well. What is that goodness? See, how it begins. The journey begins for the ordinary person by the way of aspiration or some kind of shock or some kind of aversion of something which is impending. See, this is how the spiritual quest begins for the ordinary people. Correct? We are not naturally inclined to seek the highest truth. Ordinarily, actually. Hmm? Ordinary people come across the stories of realized masters, go through scriptures, attend to certain satsangs, listen to the mahatmya and greatness and the feats which such accomplished men could create, then they become interested. Or, second is that we are fed up, we are frustrated, we are suffering from some constant fear, we are agitated, we are not satisfied with the kind of life we are living, we have suffered a shock, heartbreak, some kind of loss, and then we start questioning. But these two states are loaded with the two primary undercurrents. The first one is greed. Because such and such master could accomplish such and such feat, had so much control on his life, and therefore I must. And the second way of getting attracted to the spiritual system is out of, and the greed is not only for getting something what you have, greed is also for getting more of what you have. Not always. That you don't have and you have greed for. You may have it, but still may have greed for it. And then there is fear, the fear of suffering, fear of death, fear of losing, fear of repetition of an event which was painful to you, fear of repetition of an episode which probably destroyed your inner peace, took away all the mental balance, put you in depression, etc., etc. Here you're attracted towards the spiritual quest only out of fear. So, ordinary people, let me tell you, they're not naturally, intrinsically inclined to find the truth. Ordinarily, we are tempted or pushed towards it. Look within and you will recognize your undercurrent. You'll have to be really honest to yourself and then you will recognize that this is what is my undercurrent. But the issue is that when you are loaded with this preoccupied vasana, this is coloring of your chittam, which is greed or fear or mix of both, you will definitely be not able to have that stillness of mind because there would be constant agitation, an element of doubt. The fear itself will, fear while you're traveling on the path, you will still have fear of not attaining that perfection. Why? As if not attaining that perfection will not lead to that kind of perfection in my life, and that will further deteriorate my condition or will render me incapable of bringing about any positive change, right? So these are the two currents, and these are the colorings of the mind, which is called vasana. Okay. So vasanas are the highest kind of or the subtlest kind of disturbances or undercurrents which stop us from taking that quantum jump into vairagya. Forget about paravairagya. Okay. Vairagya, even ordinary. Drishyanusharvika vishay vitrashnasya vashikara sanya vairagya. That was defined. Now, Vashikara Sangya is the highest category of the lowest kind of Vairagya. In the lowest category, the Vashikara Sangya is the highest Vairagya. Hmm? Parapurusha Khyate Guna Vaitrishnam is Paravairagya. Okay, so in our quest for attaining perfection, while we are struggling with negativities, we deploy the tools and techniques and the discipline and the attitude to counter the negativities, the afflictions of mind, the agitation of mind, these currents which are actually bothering us or driving our every action of life. Everything, including your speech, your nod, to the way you walk, the way you talk, it shows in your own whole being. That is called vasana. So, these tools and techniques, discipline which you take up as an ordinary practitioner, they are actually the counter vrittis for which you are working on. Because you have negative vrittis, now you are working and on your mind, you're creating new vrittis. New vrittis in the same domain, panchataya. What are those? Pramana, viparya, vikalpa, nidra, and smruti. Those are the five vrittis of our mind. We are suffering from wrong pramana. We are fearful of wrong direct perception. We are fearful of the truth we are facing in our life, the reality of our life. Then we are viparyai, that we are wrongly understanding a situation. We are kind of not understanding a situation properly and therefore creating agitation, depression, whatnot. Then you are creating a world in your own inner space which is bothering you. That may be an anxiety for future. So in future, why you are anxious? Because you are creating some images in your, imaginations in your mind, which are bothering you. This is vikalpa. Then the stupor, nidra. You are completely inert. You are not full of vigor. You don't want to change. Subtly, a depression would lead to that state where you become completely depressed about life itself, and that is called nidra in waking. Everything is happening, but I am not interested. The world continues around me, but I am not interested. Although this may be the characteristic, exactly the same characteristic is displayed by Gyanis also. But, and that is what he said, the ignorance and Gyanis, the ways are the same. You can't distinguish. That is why the Kalidas was projected as a Gyani in front of Vidyottama. Well, they behave the same way. And there is the possibility of you getting confused. But anyway, that is Nidra. And then Smriti. Smriti is remembering things which are not supposed to be emerging in your mind space and forgetting things which could have given you some hope, positivity, peace of mind, relaxation, sense of satisfaction, confidence. What are those things? Those are aklishta vrittis, right? So while you might be aware of certain facts of life, because three types: direct perception, then the way of deduction, and then words of masters or words of experts of that field. These are the three ways of direct perception. So you might be bothered about something might be ringing in your head which you have directly perceived. For example, death exists. This mortal body has to be left one day. You have seen one, and thus you are perturbed. This is direct experience. You saw it, you experienced, or maybe next way, you saw that when people get old, they are caught up in the web of diseases. You are now seeing yourself getting towards that stage of life. Your body is decaying. Now you are having this direct, you are deducing that when I will become 70, my mother was at least able to walk and go through daily chores. Whether I will be able to do it or not, I'm moving in that direction. And so I deduce that. And then the third, you might have come across certain books. Probably you may have taken certain books, picked up certain books, would have gone into study and may have arrived at wrong conclusions. Shabda Praman, you may not have completely understood, but still you would think that you have understood the words of the scripture. Then what will happen? These are klishtavartis, direct perception, deduction, and the words all can become klishta for us. How do we counter it? We counter it by giving the right kind of observation directly. Also, you experience that people are there who are able to who are able to stay calm, composed, peaceful, joyous, courageous, fearless. That is also a perception. So if you focus on right experiences, you will be able to motivate yourself. That is aklishta vritti, getting created from direct perception, deduction. The how do you deduce things? How do you calculate things? How do you reason out and reach to the results? That also you can see. And then getting to the right kind of people, listening to right kind of words in the counter of, as a counter of what you have already made up in your mind, have stored. Many books would lead you to believe that the life is useless. In this life, nothing can be achieved. Some masters will tell you that papoham papa karmaham, actually you are destined to suffer. 84 lakh ka chakkar, you can hardly lift yourself, from this, what you call, this bhavasagar. The mind of an ordinary man is not powerful enough, equipped enough, capable enough to practice yoga. Let's say somebody said it. It might be true for some reasons. He might be addressing a particular audience. He might have said it, but you are going through a book in which everything he said is recorded. Probably you pick and choose that, and not my cup of tea, incapable, can't do, this kind of belief, because you were believing or trusting the words coming from book, of course, from authentic people, but you picked up wrong words. Instead, you should choose right words, get to the right kind of people who speak the language which encourages you, rooted in the scriptures but encouraging. That will undo your restlessness, anxiety, vikshobha of chittam, the vritti which were clished because of all this pramana segment will get converted into aklishta. So this is the way. Now, while we were engaged in doing all this, we were deploying certain tools. Teachers were telling us what to do. They gave us a routine. They tried to instill an attitude, a specific attitude towards life, specific strategies to deal with people while you interact with others. And while you practiced it, you were able to move out of your or weaken your negative trends of mind, negative vrittis of your mind. Let's say you have already done away with it, but the problem is now you are stuck in the positive way of, always getting into that kind of mode, applying that vritti. So that becomes your vasana now. So when that becomes your vasana, that is again about the Prakriti only. That is also about the world. You are now obsessed with goodness, obsessed with routine, obsessed with charity, obsessed. It's an obsession of good. And the problem is, this obsession of good is not easy to be left behind. And that is the reason, but it does not mean that we'll not have to pass through that phase. We'll have to definitely go through that phase of doing good. Without doing good, you'll not overcome bad. Without thinking the opposite way, the contrary way, the countering way of your current thought process, you'll not be able to come out of that. You'll not be able to dampen and weaken the tendencies which are clished for you as of now. But Patanjali goes one step further. He says, नहीं भैया ये नहीं चलेगा, इससे भी नहीं होगा. You have to dump even this. But that's not the stage for you. Don't try to take it on you. हाँ ठीक है बोल दिया. Wrong understand. Let me give you right away. Don't pick and choose. आचार्य जी ने बोला गुडनेस को भी छोड़ दो. Drop the tendency for countering the negativities also, because that will also become a vritti. Well, that is not how it works. Because if on day one, a professional driving teacher, if he comes forward and tells you, you see, in the later stages, you'll not have to actually give so much attention to the shifting gears, shifting your foot between the clutch and pedal and gas and all that. Then on the day one itself, you apply, ठीक है, नहीं करना पड़ेगा, so नहीं करेंगे, अभी से नहीं करेंगे. It is not possible. The day will come when it will automatically be ingrained in your behavior. And that has to be dealt with sequentially. Yoga, as I said, is a mathematics system of mathematics. You'll have to go through it step by step. You can't pick and choose that I'll start from okay, I will not follow abhyasa, I'll only do vairagya. Okay, I'll not turn my klishtavirtis into aklishtavirtis, I'll directly go above that. I will not follow the lower vairagya, I will directly jump to the higher vairagya. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. For the ordinary people, it doesn't happen. And therefore, we should always be clear that the vrittis which we are struggling with have to be countered with the opposite vrittis, which are elevating, giving us peace, giving us contentment, giving us a reason to remain enthused about our practices, etc., etc., inculcate a habit of discipline, make us remember right things at the right time. But later on, you see, when Patanjali himself is saying Smriti is a vritti and Chittavritti Nirodha is what you are aiming at. So even remembering good things from past is a vritti. Always referring back to your positive experiences and remaining elated is also a vritti. So of course, if you thought that it was easy to move to that samadhi, which is asampragnat samadhi, then hold yourself, hold yourself back. You have to move step by step. The first step is sampragnat samadhi. Asampragnat samadhi you can't directly jump to. Para vairagya you can't directly jump to. You can't transcend your vrittis. You can't just stop all the vrittis. What are we doing? By inculcating good, we are creating the vasana for good. Now we are coloring our chittam with goodness. This is our vasana now. Is it right? And this vasana is also a hurdle at the later stages, higher stages. Therefore, we should not be tempted to just move to the path of spiritual systems by way of grace of God, because these are your ways. You need to arrest them. You need to counter them. Whose chittam? Your. Whose vritti? Yours. Whose vasana? Yours. How it was created? Because of your repeated actions, because of your persistent desire, because of you ringing a particular kind of thought in your head thousands and millions of times. You did not denounce it, you did not counter it, you did not replace it, you did not replace it with a positive thought, you did not have that technique or capacity or probably courage or control to do something otherwise, and therefore you have created a vritti. Then vritti has gone deeper, it has become a vasana. Vasana, as I said, primarily of fear and greed, it would be, but various hues and shades of fear and greed, right? All Ishnas are greeds, all Ishna, including Vitteshna, Putteshna, Lokeshna. These are all greeds. Which direction, is important for us, what we are yearning for, what is so important in our view, that will drive our life. So these are our ways, and therefore countering them is our responsibility. And without that ardent effort, without abhyasa, and how abhyasa is to be done? Satu dirgha kala nairantarya satkarat sevito drid bhumi. This was said about abhyasa. So satu dirgha kala nairantarya. You have to be persistent. You have to be resolved to stay in that state of positivity regularly with reverence. And what is reverence? that giving it full value, understanding the importance of doing it, understanding the necessity of adopting the new ways. These are the ways. So your abhyasa will become dridha bhumi. You'll create a ground wherefrom you will be able to create a solid ground of abhyasa from where the vairagya can take jump from an ordinary vairagya, which is known as vashikara sanya, to paravairagya. So this is our journey. Coming back to the 19th Bhav Pratyayo Videha Prakriti Layana, which I covered. There we asked the practitioner to not aspire for becoming or attaining something subtle even. Even subtle aspirations will lead to those two states of Videha or Prakriti Laya. Now, what is Videha? Videha is the one who is having Vishesha Deha. There are different meanings of the same word. Here the word Videha does not mean without Deha, without body. V is used for giving that word speciality. For example, we have a word called Jnana. Then we use V as a prefix. It becomes Vijnana, Vishesha. In the same way, V also means the one which is left. For example, there is a word Sampanna. Sam means especially, Sampanna, especially affluent. And when we take the sum away and replace it by V, we arrive at the word which is called Vipanna. Here it is devoid of all the material abundance. So we can take away everything or can also add speciality. So Videha here means you will acquire a body which is special, that means which is not like this ordinary body, and you will not be free. Only your body will become special. You know, who are those who attain special bodies? The ones who are in the Pitraloka, Devaloka, etc., etc. So Devatas have Videha, Vishesha Deha. They all have bodies, and their bodies are special. They are subtler than this. You can't perceive such bodies through your ordinary senses, and only these bodies are visible to the sense perceptions which are contained within the mind, which are illuminating your physical gross organs. And therefore, Devata Darshanam happens within. Even when your eyes are open and you seemingly see that the Devata is in front of you, you are actually seeing him within, because your mind has developed that capacity to see Videha, Visheshadeha, special body. Ordinarily, such bodies will be seen through the mind's eyes. But if your association becomes too strong, you can project that inner image in the outer world also. And therefore, you would imagine, or you would see, you would feel as if I am seeing my Devata in front of me. So there are two stages. These are the two states which are the outcome of lower samadhis. Lower samadhis were four samadhis: Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, and Asmita. These were the four samadhis Patanjali described. Now, Vitarka, if you are not yet clear about what is Vitarka, because Utark you know, Tark you know, but Vitarka you don't. In Shiva Sutra, we have gone through this sutra where it is said Vitarka Atma Jnanam. But anyways, we are not seeing this Patanjali in the light of Shiva Sutras. Someday I will try to do that also. Maybe the next version of Patanjali Yoga Sutras we will discuss in the light of Shiva Sutras. Then certain more clarity will come. However, for the time being, let us stick to this terminology, words of this particular scripture. And there are four words: Vitarka, Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita. These are in progressive orders, by the way. They are not random. In scriptures, there is nothing random. Each and especially in the when it is called Yoga Sutras, one bracket here and there, one plus minus here and there, one power here and there will change the whole meaning, and therefore nothing is out of order. Everything is in perfect order, and therefore Vitarka should be understood. By the way, when we are seeing it, you understand that we are probably moving from gross to subtle, because Vichara is something which is limited, which we can perceive as a thing. But Ananda, which is subtler than that, we don't perceive it as a thing. It is something which is more persistent, more subtle, beneath the idea, beneath the vichar. Anand is beneath. Beneath means subtler than that, subtler than the idea. Is it not? A particular thought, one thought may carry suffering for you. Another thought may give you joy. The joy is subtler than the idea or thought itself. And then comes Asmita. Asmita means the sense of I amness. That I amness is even more subtle because on that I amness, all the joys, etc., anand, etc., is felt. So we are moving from gross to subtle, and therefore Vitarka should be gross object. And why Vitarka is gross object? Because you apply your logic or you apply your analytical faculty only for something. A special analytical faculty you apply only in the field of gross. There is a way of argument which you can apply only in gross, and that tark, that logic is vishesha, and therefore it is called vitarka. Now vitarka is actually signifying an object which is gross. See, tarka is a way of thoughts, is a design of thought, a pattern of thought, or a sequence of thought which leads to certain conclusion. Tarka, which is called logic. Vitarka means a special kind of logic which can be applied only to a gross thing. For example, one apple plus one apple is equal to two apples, gross. One gas plus one gas is equal to, think about it. I'm talking of subtle. One type of gas plus one type of gas, another type of gas is equal to two types of gas. No, it's a mixture of it. You can't say two. Understood? The logic has changed. So we move from gross to subtle, the logic changed. Now we can't use that logic. One apple plus one apple is equal to two apples. Understood? In the same way, when we move away from the gross or we move towards the gross, let's say, both ways our logic has to be special logic. Acha, for example, again a subtler logic in the field of even subtle. I am a mother, I am a daughter, I am a sister. Am I three? One plus one plus one is equal to three? No, I'm still one. No, all logic failed. In the same way, so there is a special logic which can be applied only to gross. And here this word vitark means the gross object. So your absorption, your concentration, your connect can be with a gross object. And if you don't have a gross object, then you have vichar of that object. Now you move to vichara. For example, if your beloved is in front of you, good, you can meditate. If he or she is not, you can meditate on the vichara. The vichara itself has all the characteristics of the gross, is it not? And but it is subtler than that. So vichara is subtler than vitarka. Then ananda is underneath that. That means further subtler. And asmita is that I amness on which everything is felt, everything is experienced. So these are the four stages of samadhis in that category which is called sampragnat. So we begin with what? Vitarka. Vitark means gross object. Okay. So how do you begin? Om Jai Jagdish Hare. Jagdish is only in that idol. Jai Ambe Mata is only in that idol. No. You objectify first. Okay. From that objectification, if you are in KG1, KG2, you will be given this. You will be given Manas Puja, KG1, KG2. But you are doing everything in the Vitarka. Now you have translated it into Vichara. From actual puja, you have moved to Manas Puja. What you have done actually? You have done the process of making the object of your attention and absorption subtler than what it was. Correct? So from puja, you have moved to, from real panchopachara, you have moved to mudra based panchopachara, making it subtle, subtler than the gross, again subtler than the subtle. This is how we move. Now, the last two, and for example, vichar can also be said to be a mantra. Now this is vichara. V means vishesha, char means the way it moves. Char means to move. In physical sense, when we walk, we say, हिंदी में बोल रहा हूं, ये साधु जी इधर उधर विचरण करते रहते थे. चर से ही बनता है चरण. जो चलाने वाला हो उसे चरण कहते. चर. Okay, now, so when mind moves, it moves in a special fashion. Its movements, its steps are different, and therefore this char of your consciousness. Char means there are so many chars. Shishtachar. Achar also means char, the way you conduct, the movement. Vyabhichar, atyachar, so many char. Okay, panchopachar, char, movement, something, the process to go by. There is certain movement, there is certain sequence. So the mind's way of movement is called vichara. Now, so when we say we have now replaced Manas Puja with the mantra, now we have gone subtler than that. Now the mantra has everything in it. Mantra has the deity in it. Is it not? All the aspects of deity. Now you are focusing on a vichara which is even subtler than the vichara. That is Manasa Puja. Now you are actually working on the seed of vichara, seed thought. And that is why it is said, mantra creates devata. For did I tell you sometime or not? Mantra actually creates devata. Mantra is that seed from where devata evolves, takes shape, takes a form. So mantra is apratyaksha devata, which will create pratyaksha devata. Mantra is not of devata. Suppose you have received a mantra and you have not seen the deity. For example, you received the bija mantra of tattvas. Did you receive the deities along? No. But if you have done the mantra correctly, that mantra should be able to create the deity, because mantra will evolute into becoming a deity in itself, a devata in itself. Understand? So those who have moved to higher sadhanas, they were given even more and more, such practices. Have those bij aksharas or mantras become the deities? No, they did not become. Okay, they did not become. Then the grace of masters come. They say, okay, now you please try to follow this dhyanam for this particular deity, the deity you could not create, but this is what deity should have appeared like Raktavarnam, Chaturbhujam, etc., etc. See, this is how our subtle world works. Moving from there to there. So think about it. The one who is doing absorption in vichara instead of objects becomes capable of taking that shift and going to that shift where he experiences ananda and goes to the absorption with the self, that I amness, and also the vairagya starts coming because of this abhyasa. See, abhyasa vairagya are parallel. They are like two legs, two charanas supporting each other, 2 feet. You can't walk on 1 feet, or let's say then I can jump, no problem. You can't clap without 2 hands, two palms. That is how sadhana. One of abhyasa, one of vairagya. Both clap together, something new will appear. They will have to come with that force together, parallelly. You can't say, I will make this hand move, high practice, but opposite movement of vairagya. We are getting engaged and engrossed in the world. No clapping will ever happen. Understand? Nothing new can be created. The firmness is also important. Full firmness, but here no firmness. You see, what will happen? Will it create that sound which you are expecting in this clap? So that means both need to be strong. Abhyasa and vairagya, both will work together. And if we look at the sound which we are hearing, we will definitely say that both are needed to arrive at that result, that sound of clap, which is the outcome of the collision or the interaction of vairagya and abhyasa. Abhyasa will lead to vairagya, vairagya will lead to abhyasa. How vairagya will lead to abhyasa? Only when you have right kind of smriti. Smriti is also one vritti. What is the klishta vritti of smriti? That we remember 1,000 things which are unrelated, unfruitful, kind of distraction. Ideas are popping up from the past, and we intend to get engaged into certain activities, actions based on our past experiences. We are lured, we are attracted towards them, and those kind of smritis. But suppose the right smriti becomes correct, the right smriti comes. What is aklishta smriti? At the time when certain temptations were bothering me, suddenly I remembered a word of a scripture, Shadripus. These are the ways. My mind will try to pull me down. I recognize it. This is a smriti. So when the right smriti will be there, your vairagya will lead you to a state where your disengagement with the world is natural. When you'll have nothing to do, when you remember, that means right kind of smriti comes, you will only engage in sadhana, abhyasa. So vairagya will lead to abhyasa conditionally, and abhyasa only cannot lead to vairagya. There is no possibility. But as I say, the right kind of abhyasa can be given in such a way that over time, suppose just I'll give you this example. You people, some of you, not all of you, have developed the habit, abhyasa, of coming and listening to discourses. This is your abhyasa. Now, if this abhyasa itself is of vairagya, constant hammering, then someday something, inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter, millimeter by millimeter, you will be tempted or motivated or enthused to pick up the right kind of attitude, which is continuously being hammered because of your abhyasa. If you drop this abhyasa, you can't get into vairagya. Understood? So this way, right kind of practice, right kind of abhyasa conditionally can lead to vairagya. But vairagya is actually outcome of not abhyasa, but a deeper understanding. Vivek. We have understood. We have seen that in Spandakarika. It comes from Vivek. You have to apply your thought, apply your logic rather than just abhyasa. So you should know what precedes what. But anyways, coming back to the sutra here, which talks about four type of samadhis in the category of lower samadhis, and lower samadhis are possible with lower vairagya, which is called vashikara sangya. Please understand, everything is related. Lower samadhis are possible when we have vashikara sangya. When we have para vairagya, then only there is a possibility of achieving the para samadhi, or what we are referring to as asamprajnat samadhi. So, considering ourselves to be novice, amateur, or realizing who we are, giving a closer and deeper look to our own antakarana and vrittis and the way our monkey mind has been making us suffer, we would recognize that we are not a candidate who is in paravairagya. We are not even the candidate for Vashikara Sanya. There are other three type of vairagyas. I will discuss it sometime. But then what will happen? Even I don't have arrived at the lowest of vairagya, and I am not into that is band of lowest vairagya where Vashikara Sanya, the highest of lowest, comes. So then what will happen? Then your absorption will still happen. Don't you think आपकी समाधि नहीं लगती है? सबकी लगती है. मैं उदाहरण देता हूँ. You are in an absorption when you are watching a movie. You are in an absorption when you are engaged in certain activities which are very dear to you, sense pleasing or something. You are in kind of absorption. You are in absorption of your own vrittis, like imagining negativity. Maybe your vritti, you are in deep absorption, continuously thinking like that, and as the future has become real right away, right now, law of attraction starts working. That is how everything. So we will be achieving the kind of absorption based on what kind of vairagya we have created and what kind of abhyasa we are following. भाई समझ में आ रहा है ना सब लोगों को? मुझे थोड़ा डाउट होने लगता है, आप लोग सीरियस हो जाते हो, आप लोग डिसअपॉइंट हो जा रहे हो ना. कुछ नहीं करना है. वील हैव टू क्रिएट न्यू वृत्ति, अक्लिष्ट वृत्ति. तो पहला चीज जो हमें करना है, लिव अ रिजॉल्व्ड लाइफ. डोंट स्टे इन कंफ्यूजन. Confusion will always be turbulences. If that turbulence becomes the undercurrent, that vasana, then you can never be at ease in your life. Forget about, during the meditation spree or meditation time. On your meditation mat also you will not be able to that. Understand? चिंता करना ही स्वभाव बन जाएगा तो फिर वो बना ही रहेगा. तो बदलो, ऐसे करना पड़ेगा. भोग की तरफ दृष्टि डालते डालते रहेंगे तो भी उसको बदलो. Change that. So based on these sutras, let us be uh, informed about what can be done rather than getting demotivated. Let us create our own sadhana. Let us apply our own viveka to arrive at our own sadhana. Therefore, there is no sadhana in this world. One size fits all doesn't work here because you all have different kind of vasanas. You have different kind of vrittis. So each one of you have to proactively think about countering that vritti and establishing a new vritti which is kind of easy to be with, aklisht. That is your own application. No one can help you because suppose you may be suffering from some. बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं हमारे यहाँ, कुछ रोगों को कहा जाता है, बहुत बहुत सारे रोग होते हैं, शरीर में भी होते हैं, मन में भी होते हैं। शरीर में भी कुछ ऐसे रोग होते हैं जिनको कहा जाता है गुप्त रोग, ठीक है। और इसी प्रकार से मन में भी होते हैं, मन में और ज्यादा होते हैं, मन तो वैसे ही गुप्त होता है, तो मन का कोई भी रोग होता है वो गुप्त रोग ही होता है। तो फिर सफरिंग, definitely all of us suffer from some or the other kind of disease which is mental. We are actually suffering from gupta roga. Nobody knows it, only you know it, so you'll have to deal with it. No doctor will help, only your teachers can help you if you come forward and share your gupta roga. They can devise a method for you, they can tell you what you can do, but if you keep it gupta, nobody can help, even in physical world also, even in your physical diseases also. Don't be shy, go to a doctor, discuss your problem. There is a medicine for everything can be treated. See, this is how it goes. The same applies here. So all of you need to go find out what is my roga, what is my hidden disease, and all mental traits which we carry, which don't allow us to be peaceful, restful, content, joyous, at ease. They are diseases. They need to be dealt with. How? By taking the medicine. And medicines need to be taken regularly. अरे भाई ऐसा नहीं होता, you have to follow through, you have to, whenever you are called, please come back, go through the checkup again. If there is any tweak in the medication, I will suggest this is how you will come out of this problem. This is how it happens, is it not? In the same way, if a technique is told to you, you need to work on it. If it is told that you have to take this medicine 7 times a day, you'll have to do it. You can't compromise. Otherwise, the disease will continue. So, this is what it means. I'm not discouraging you, I'm encouraging you. So, all of you need to reach out to that state of mind where you are living a resolved life. This is the precondition, let me tell you. Resolved life. There are no unresolved issues. There's nothing which bothers about you beyond death, which is evident and everybody has to go through. Okay, so let's be clear about it. Let's be very, very clear about it. What are we hiding beneath the coating of that, golden coating, sugar coating, all those things? You find out why you are behaving in a particular way and what lies beneath it. Why are you being so nice to others? What lies beneath it? Why are you being arrogant to others? What lies beneath it? Why are you not balanced? Look beneath, and then you'll recognize, अरे मेरी वासना है, मैं डरती हूँ, मैं डरता हूँ कि कोई नाराज ना हो जाए, मेरी वृत्ति है कि लोग मुझे एक्सेप्ट करें, इसलिए मैं सह रहा हूँ। तो मेरी वासना क्या है? Desire of approval from others. काम खुद ही को करना पड़ेगा. Nobody can work for you. You'll have to get out of this. So you recognize this, and I'll be really happy if you all at least able to recognize where you are, what are your hidden problems. You work on it, resolve it, take the medicine, and don't mingle. Don't mingle. See, what happens is when you go and describe your condition. Now let me tell you why you are not able to take the medication which is suggested by a doctor, a teacher, a master. Why? Because you're educated and you're logical. That's the only reason. And that is how you have been actually thinking that for everything there should be a medicine, etc., etc. How? You go to a doctor, you say, Doctor साहब, पैर में भी दर्द हो रहा है, अच्छा, सर में भी दर्द हो रहा है, अच्छा, कमर में भी दर्द हो रहा है, अच्छा, ठीक है, शोल्डर में भी दर्द हो रहा है, अच्छा, ठीक है, और बुखार है, और किसी चीज का टेस्ट नहीं आ रहा, और पेट भी ठीक से साफ नहीं हो रहा, और सुनो, ये सारी चीजें आपने बताई, तो व्हाट डू यू एक्सपेक्ट? You expect the doctor should give you 17 medicines because you talked about 17 problems. Correct or not? A doctor gives you 2 medicines. One, he calls, भाई ये SOS ले लेना, ये बुखार है, और ये दवा ले लेना, ये एंटीबायोटिक है, ठीक है, ये दो ही चलता है, इससे सब ठीक हो जाएगा। बोले ये कमर के दर्द के लिए, वो शोल्डर के दर्द के लिए, वो पेट के लिए, बोले सब का लिए है, टेस्ट के लिए कोई दवा? अरे भाई रुक जाओ, डोंट ट्राई टू बिकम अ डॉक्टर। आई एम द डॉक्टर, आई नो व्हाट आई एम गिविंग। और हम अपना दिमाग लगाते, नहीं नहीं इस बारे में तो बताया नहीं, इस बारे में तो कोई मर्जी, इस बारी तो कोई गोली दी नहीं, तो 2 ही गोली दी, हमारी तो 17 प्रॉब्लम थी। हो गई है श्रद्धा, गोली खाओगे नहीं, और अगर खाओगे भी तो बेमन से खाओगे, 2 दिन खाओगे, उसके बाद कहोगे यार वो तो ठीक है, अभी बुखार तो उतरना शुरू हुआ लेकिन टेस्ट नहीं आया, अभी ये SOS से बुखार तो उतर रहा है लेकिन टेस्ट नहीं आ रहा, पेट तो अभी भी खराब चल रहा है, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह। भाई साहब दोनों गोलियां खानी पड़ेंगी, कंटिन्यूटी में खानी पड़ेंगी, जैसे डॉक्टर ने बताई खानी पड़ेगी, एक भी मिस नहीं करनी पड़ेगी, जो शेड्यूल बताया वैसे चलो, और 17 की 17 प्रॉब्लम इन्हीं 2 गोली से ठीक हो जाएगी। अंडरस्टैंड? सो यू शुड ऑल्सो नो that when you narrate your 17 problems together, they are not to be resolved, all the problems are not, they don't need any resolution at all, because the root cause is something else, and teacher will tell you some practice only to deal with the root cause. You are concerned with ये भी नहीं हो रहा, वो भी नहीं हो रहा, साधना में भी मन नहीं लग रहा, मन व्यथित रहता है, ऐसा हो गया वैसा हो गया ना, कमर में दर्द है, पीठ में दर्द है, बड़ी चिंता लगी रहती है, वगैरह वगैरह, बहुत सारे इसी तरीके के तो होते हैं ना। आपके मर्ज डिसिप्लिन नहीं बन रहा, ये नहीं हो रहा, छोटा सा एक दवा बताई छोटी सी, ये करो, ये ठीक हो जाएगा। डिप्रेशन में चला गया हूँ, अरे भाई छोटी सी दवा बताई, करो, क्या दवा बताई? भाई उठ जाओ, सूरज को देखो, 20 मिनट हो गई जी, अभी कौन यार, इससे कैसे सॉल्व हो जाएगी प्रॉब्लम? तुम तो पढ़े लिखे हो ना, मेरे करियर की प्रॉब्लम कैसे सॉल्व हो जाएगी? मेरे रिलेशनशिप की प्रॉब्लम कैसे सॉल्व हो जाएगी? मेरी एंग्जाइटी कैसे चली जाएगी? मेरे कमर का दर्द कैसे चला जाए? This is how we think. We are educated, na? Educated idiots. You see, this is what education has done. That is why I say in earlier days, see, this is the problem of modern man. Why? Because he has this imperfect, ill-informed system of medication, system of medicine, where he himself has to go and tell all the problems. So if you engage a patient in describing his 30 problems, of course the patient will expect that you should give the medication for 30 problems. And what actually used to happen with the informed and well-placed medication system or system of medicine? You don't go and tell your problems, your list of problems to them. You go and say, बस मैं आपके सामने बैठा हूं, मतलब मैं बीमार हूं. Now you find out what is the problem, and that person will put 3 fingers on your, ठीक है मिल गया, ये दवा खाओ ठीक हो जाओगे. अंडरस्टूड? सो हमने ज्यादा एजुकेशन कर ली, हम ज्यादा पढ़ लिख गए, हमने ज्यादा समझ लिया, इसलिए हम ऐसे टाइम में रहते हैं जहाँ हमको अपनी प्रॉब्लम बता बता करके ही इलाज मिलता है. इसलिए हमको लगता है, याद रखो, आपकी नब्ज पकड़नी पड़ेगी। जो भी टीचर होगा वो नब्ज पकड़ेगा। वो ये नहीं पकड़ेगा कि तुम्हारी 1000 प्रॉब्लम है कि 2000 प्रॉब्लम। सुना दो सब, वो तुम्हारा संतोष है। क्योंकि अगर तुम डॉक्टर के पास जाओ और डॉक्टर तुमको ये मौका भी ना दे, वो वैद्य भी वैद्य है जो तुम्हारा उंगली पकड़ के दे रहा हो, नब्ज पकड़ के दे रहा हो, वैद्यराज सुषेण भी हूं, और तुमको मौका ही ना दे बोलने का कि तुम्हारी तकलीफ क्या है, मालूम है तुमको? तुमको वो दवा लेने में भी शायद 1000 बार सोचेगा लूं कि ना लूं। मैं तो अपनी प्रॉब्लम बताई भी नहीं थी, इसने दवा कैसे दे? इज इट नॉट? लुक एट इट। तो इवन दोज डॉक्टर्स अलाउ योर एक्सप्रेशन। एक्सप्रेस योर, हाँ ये रही भी है, भी है, वो भी है, वो भी है, सब पहले देख लेंगे, उसके बाद हाँ बोलो अब क्या है। सुनो, पहले देख लेते हैं, उसके बाद बोलते हैं हाँ बोलो अब क्या है। उधर बिजी है, लिख दिया पर्चा, वो घोटी जा रही दवा, तुम्हारी सुन रहे हैं। हाँ हाँ ठीक है, अच्छा ठीक है, ये ठीक है, हाँ ये वाला क्या है, केला ज्यादा खाते हो? अच्छा, ठीक है, हाँ हाँ केला मत खाया करो, सुन रहे हैं तुम्हारी, देखो चावल मत खाया करो, ऐसे तुम्हारी सुन रहे हैं, कहानी सुन रहे हैं, और दवा तैयार है पहले। क्योंकि अगर तुम्हारी कहानी ना सुने, तुम्हारे तो 2 मिनट बात ना करें, तो तुम वो दवाई ना खाओ। इसलिए वो गलती से सुना करते थे, कोई वैद्य किसी को सुनने की जरूरत ही नहीं होती। और तुमको भी ऐसे लगता होगा कि हमको ये बता दिया टीचर ने, हमारे ये करने को बोला, हमने तो अपनी तकलीफ बताई नहीं, कैसे बता दिया? तो यही समस्या है। तो हमको हमारा तो सुना ही बिना कह दिया हमको इसे कर लो। लेट अस बी क्लियर अबाउट दैट सिस्टम which works in dealing with your inner problems, the problems of the vrittis and the vasanas of the attitude related problems. They can lead to multiple offshoots. So कुछ नहीं होता, deal with one and it will be all gone. You're completely cured. तो पतंजलि से सबकी दवा एक ही है, वैराग्य। पतंजलि से सबकी दवा एक ही है, ओनली वन मेडिसिन टू डील विद दिस वर्ल्ड and come at ease and peace and in the blissful state of having higher intellect established in the inner joy. पतंजलि कहते हैं एक ही दवा है, यह है वैराग्य, इसी का अभ्यास करते रहो। ठीक है, एक ही दवा है, उनके पास दो दवा भी नहीं, एक ही दवा है, वैराग्य का अभ्यास। वो कैसे जागृत होगा तो बोले उसके लिए बाद में बताएंगे, लेकिन वो पहले अथ योगानुशासन हम कह सकते हो सकता ना भी बताए। क्योंकि तुमको इतनी अकल तो होनी चाहिए, तुम योग सीखने आए हो, कि वैराग्य कैसे प्रकट किया जाता है। उसके लिए तरीका देंगे। अभी अभ्यास वैराग्य कह के चुप नहीं होंगे, फिर वो यम नियम देंगे। तो पतंजलि गिव्स अस द राइट sequential way, and I think with that you should understand how these different sutras are linked with each other. So I was just talking about Bhav Prakriti Layana. Last time I talked from the perspective of we as an individual, wherever we are standing, looking at our own practices and our own inner vasanas, that हमें स्वर्ग मिले, हमारे अंदर शक्ति आ जाए, हम बहुत शक्तिशाली हो जाए, हमारे पास कुछ सिद्धियां हो जाए, हम भी लोगों के मन की बात पढ़ लें। वी शुड ऑल्सो बी एबल टू चेंज द डेस्टिनी ऑफ अदर्स। हम जिसको छू लें उसका दर्द दूर हो जाए, हम जिसको आशीर्वाद दे दें उसको लड़का हो जाए, है ना, वगैरह वगैरह। इसी टाइप के आप अपने मन में सोच के चलो, हम जिसकी तरफ देख ले वो आकर्षित हो जाए, हम जिसकी तरफ क्रोध कर दे वो गिर के मर जाए, आदि आदि तरह तरह की मन में आप आकांक्षाएं लेके साधना करते हैं, शुरुआत करते हैं। तो उसलिए कहाँ फंसते हैं, वो तो छोड़ो, भाव प्रत्यय और विदेह। भाव प्रत्यय में विदेह और प्रकृति लया नाम ये दो कैटेगरी होती है भाव प्रत्यय की। तो जो भावों में फंसता है ये दो में आता है, लेकिन ये भाव प्रत्यय दूसरे सेंस में भी यूज किया गया है। ऐसे भी समझाया जाता है कि सपोज यू हैव अटेन्ड दैट हाईएस्ट टाइप ऑफ लोअर वैराग्य विच इज कॉल्ड वशीकार संज्ञा। Correct? Suppose you have developed that. That means now you will become capable of 4 kind of absorptions: vitarka, vichara, ananda, and asmita. The first 2 are even much lower. So suppose you somehow graduate to Ananda and Asmita. These two types of samadhis, while you are into Vashikara Sankhya, because you have not achieved Paravairagya in this lifetime, and suppose you die in that absorption itself. What absorption? Sananda or Sasmita. Ananda Anugamat or Asmita Anugamat. These are the two. So what will happen to you? Because you see, system of yoga is not talking about unity. ये यूनिटी नहीं है, यहाँ इंडिविजुअल्स ही हैं. हम इंडिविजुअल सोल की तरह ही रहने वाले हैं. हम मुक्त भी हो जाएंगे तो भी हम इंडिविजुअल ही रहेंगे, हम सबके साथ एक नहीं होते. यहाँ पर ये अद्वैत नहीं है. लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड दिस. सो अगर हम ये मर गए, उसके बाद हमने शरीर छोड़ गया, तो अब हमारी क्या गति? तो उन्होंने बताया, ही टोल्ड दैट सानंद जो होगा वो कैसा पैदा होगा? सानंद कैसा पैदा होगा? विदेह के रूप में. और जो जो सास्मिता है वो किधर जाएगा? वो प्रकृति लया नाम, यानी प्रकृति लय के रूप में पैदा होगा. अब अगले जन्म में ऐसे जो दो लोग पैदा होते हैं वो जन्म से ही योग में, मार्ग में, या उनकी प्रवृत्ति बहुत जल्दी जागृत हो जाती है. सो भाव प्रत्यय का अर्थ है, भाव प्रत्यय मीन्स दैट सच योगीज आर हायर योगीज who are born to become yogis. Why? Because in their last life, in their past sadhana, they failed to achieve paravairagya, and therefore they failed to achieve asampragyat samadhi, and they were the achiever of the sananda and sasmita samadhi. So there are two types of yogis. One yogi is called bhava pratyaya, another is upaya pratyaya or prayatna pratyaya. So normally yogis are upaya pratyaya. You are doing upaya as of now, is it not? You did not have had that kind of when to know the truth, when to know the self right from the first morning you woke up on this planet Earth. Yes or no? But these two yogis do have the memories of their past also. One has the memory of the past, one has the experiences of past. That's the difference. One has the exact memory of the past, which is the highest one, Sasmita, and the one who is in Ananda has the impressions of it. And therefore, for such yogis, the progression is very quick, very natural, and for them the absorption it's a cakewalk. So you should not envy them. You should know clearly that these yogis are actually in their continuous journey. है ना. अभी आप यू मस्ट क्वेश्चन ना, कभी कभी तो क्वेश्चन कर दो, भाई ऐसा क्या हो गया कि शंकराचार्य ने 8 साल की उम्र में ही छोड़ दिया घर वैराग्य हो गया? कैसे होगा? सोचना पड़ेगा ना. क्यों भाई नहीं सोचोगे? ऐसा क्या हो गया कि स्वामी विवेकानंद जब पढ़ने की उम्र थी, जब कमाने की उम्र थी, जब एस्पिरेशन की उम्र थी, तब वो इतना बाबा जी के पास बैठे थे? ये सब सोचने की बात है. तो ये क्यों हुआ? ये इसीलिए हुआ कि वो योग उनका उस समय नहीं पूरा हुआ, अब होगा. ठीक है. तो एक ये कैटेगरी को बोलते हैं भाव प्रत्यय, और दूसरे होते हैं कबूतर जैसे, वो होते हैं उपाय प्रत्यय. उनको उपाय चाहिए होता है. प्रत्यय उनका क्या है? उपाय है. वो होने के लिए नहीं पैदा हुए, वो बनने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि चलो योग करके देखते हैं. ऐसा है. तो ये मैं क्लैरिटी करना चाह रहा था थोड़ा आप लोगों को कि ये केवल कैटेगरी नहीं है, मतलब ये केवल हमारी डेस्टिनी नहीं है भाव प्रत्यय, ये हमारी कैटेगरी भी है अगर हमने अपने आप को एलिवेट कर लिया है टू दैट लेवल वेयर वी हैव बीन एबल टू अचीव द एब्जॉर्प्शन टू हाईएस्ट एब्जॉर्प्शंस ऑफ द लोएस्ट कैटेगरी, which is Sanand and Saspita. And these two type of yogis are born to become a yogi. Only a little gap may be here and there, and they are generally such yogis would not have a tendency right in the beginning to engage in the worldly matters of life. Understood? Why is different type of people, different type of attitude you see in different people, So if there are some stronger impressions of the past, they may still carry, they may again fall, they may again commit mistake. That is also there because vasanas are sometimes hidden seeds are always there. And that is why Patanjali will always remind us that even if you are capable of getting an absorption which is called asampragnata, that does not mean you should stop practicing. You should continue to practice. You should continue to practice because you may fall because maybe there is still something unresolved. There is some seed lying there here and there. And that is why some yogis will be born, they will start their life as a family man, and then probably somehow they will turn towards it and they will achieve perfection. So many of them are there. For example, Kabir, Ladi Mashay, so many, Nanak, Meera, there are so many. And in the path of yoga also, there are so many yogis who began like a grihastha, became a yogi, and then achieved the highest. So, certain impressions you are carrying from past that drive you. So, you people are sitting here not because ये ठीक है हम कोशिश करेंगे. You are also having some seed. कुछ तो किया होगा तभी इधर आए हो. ऐसे नहीं आता. TGI फ्राइडे में नहीं गए. फ्राइडे के दिन फ्राइडे को सौंदर्य लहरी सुन रहे थे. क्यों सुन रहे थे? तो इसीलिए क्योंकि कुछ किया है वो बचा है. अभी थोड़ा बहुत हुआ होगा तभी आए होंगे. तो recognize this opportunity, take it seriously. It is not unplanned that you are हम अब we take it है ना, we take it casually. अरे ठीक है चलो मिल गए होंगे कोई टीचर, कोई मिल गई होगी साधना, कोई मिल गए होंगे सदवचन कहने वाले, कोई मिल गए होंगे बताने वाले, तो ठीक है हो गया. अरे रिकॉग्नाइज करो कि तुम ऐसे बीच बीच में एनकाउंटर्स में क्यों जाते हो. समझ में आई बात. उसको स्टिक करो, उसको लाइफ में अडॉप्ट करो. दैट इज व्हाट Patanjali and Sankhya Darshan believes in this philosophy, of course, and that's true also. That Advaita is a very high absorption, as I say always. Okay, so for today this much is enough. We will further discuss next sutra for the ordinary. जो हमारे उपाय प्रत्यय हैं, है ना, उपाय प्रत्यय प्रयत्न प्रत्यय वाले जो लोग हैं, है ना, नाड़ी शोधन प्रत्यय वाले, रेडियंट हेल्थ प्रत्यय वाले जो लोग हैं, उनको क्या क्या काम करेगा. भाव प्रत्यय वालों को तो उनको काम करेगा सब कुछ. उनके लिए तो बस इजी वॉक है. जिस समय जागृत हो जाए उनकी ये संस्कार, उसके बाद से तो मूव करते हैं. पर कबूतर क्या करेंगे? कबूतरों को क्या होगा? जो छोटा छोटा भी दाना चुग के आए थे, सर समाधि माधि भी नहीं लगाई थी, पर थोड़ा सा यम, थोड़ा नियम, थोड़ा वैराग्य, थोड़ा थोड़ा शुरू हुआ था, तो उसकी वजह से अब आज बैठ करके प्रवचन सुनते हैं. उनका क्या होगा तो वो बाद में बताएंगे. ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ओम शांति शांति शांति. ओम शिवोहम.